First on CBS Mornings, a new push to test the safety of the ever-shrinking airplane seat. Airlines have been downsizing their seats for years. That led Congress to order the FAA in 2018 to set new standards to ensure passengers can evacuate a plane in 90 seconds or less. That testing has been widely criticized for not considering things like passengers with disabilities. Today, U.S. Senator Tammy Duckworth introduces legislation requiring the FAA to rethink its review of airline seat size. Kris Van Cleave has followed this story for years. He's at Reagan National Airport outside Washington. Kris, good morning. How you doing?
Well, Nate, good morning. You may remember over the summer we told you the FAA was seeking public comment on the size of airline seats. The agency received more than 26,000 in just 90 days. More than 200 times the word torture shows up in those comments. Now Senator Duckworth is saying the FAA essentially needs to do a do-over.
In a simulated cabin that can be filled with smoke and plunged into darkness, the FAA tested the safe size of airline seats and how passengers can get out in 90 seconds or less. While the volunteer passengers in the simulated evacuations had varying seat sizes, they did not have to deal with real-life obstacles like smoke, the dark, or even luggage. And they were in groups of 60, nowhere near a full plane load. In 2019, the FAA explained,
"We're going to try to minimize the variables to the ones that are important for this particular test."
Airplane seat width is already down as much as 4 inches over the last 30 years to as little as 16 inches wide. And seat pitch, the distance between rows, has shrunk from about 35 inches to 31, and in some cases as little as 28 inches, allowing airlines to add more seats. The FAA found seat size and spacing did not adversely affect the success of emergency evacuations. But because all participants were able-bodied adults under 60, then FAA Administrator Steve Dixon acknowledged the results are useful but not necessarily definitive.
Airlines have added seats to increase revenue and pack more people into smaller spaces. And it's going to have an effect when there's an evacuation.
Miracle on the Hudson pilot, Captain Sully Sullenberger.
On our flight, it took over 3 minutes to evacuate everyone, partly because the airplane was filling up rapidly with water from back to front, but also because it was real life and we had a full aircraft.
6 Democratic senators recently urged the FAA to reconsider its findings, saying not accurately reflecting the flying public is one of its most glaring flaws.
Do you think you could get off an airplane in 90 seconds?
Not in the normal conditions that I normally travel in.
Today, Senator Tammy Duckworth, who lost both legs while serving in Iraq, is now proposing legislation requiring a new FAA seat size study looking at how real-life conditions, including children, seniors, and the disabled, as well as the presence of carry-on bags, impacts evacuation times.
When you're testing with not real-world conditions, then that gets me worried. Airlines are traveling now with just about every seat filled. You can't just practice evacuating an aircraft that is only 30% full, because that's not the way commercial aviation looks today.
Captain Sullenberger, aviation worker unions, and veterans groups all support this proposed legislation. The FAA says it is continuing to go through those thousands of public comments, but that it followed guidelines in its testing that were laid out by Congress. The airlines say safety is their top priority, and they will continue to work with the FAA. Tony?
Very eye-opening report there, Kris. The senator making some good points. Thank you very much.